Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you again. It's been a bit, hasn't it? I was supposed to stream, not yesterday, the day before, because I realized, I wasn't going to stream until my 3-year anniversary of streaming, but then I realized, that's not until Thursday. If I didn't stream until then, I'd have, wasted the first 2.5 weeks of my leave from work with only doing one stream, and that was solely to get this month's Lego stream out of the way. So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do a couple streams before then as well, and then I didn't because I didn't sleep well enough. That's not to say I slept particularly well last night, mind you. But I mean, I slept better than the night before. I didn't wake up at 4 AM. I mean, I think I did, but I fell asleep for a bit again. I am just shit at, sleep. But yes, we're back. I was gonna do a chatting stream talking about oh yeah, here's the things that happened while I was gone, and here's what I'm planning for next year and shit like that. But then I'm like, nah, let's not do that. I'll probably just throw it in during the karaoke stream or whatever, because I'm gonna do a karaoke stream for my 3-year anniversary, because I didn't have time to do a cover song. But yeah, today we're just gonna play Ace Attorney. I'd like to finish Case 3. We're close enough that we probably can. If my voices seem a bit off, it's because it's almost been a month since the last time I played Ace Attorney, and partially because, like I said, I've got a karaoke stream coming up, so I've been practicing, so my throat might be a bit dead. Only other thing I have to announce is that I finally worked up the courage to get a third person for the next quiz stream. It will probably happen sometime next month, depending on people's availability. But we have people now. We have people, so it's in progress. Only took me 2 months to do. Anyway, enough dawdling. Let's get into the game, shall we? A committee's view. We're in the ladder of the case, so shouldn't be too much further. Although I guess there are only 3 parts, the beginning, the middle, and ladder. April 2nd, 3:11 PM, Zodiac Hall Fountain Room. Miss Bound, are you feeling a little calmer now? Oh shoot, I have to remember everyone's voices. Fuck. Yes. Good. Then allow me to get to the point. Regardless of your intentions, you broke the law. Yes, I understand. Nevertheless, I understand that you did what you did in order to prove Mr. Tangaroa's innocence. Reading. I can read words. It's a thing I can do. Totally. Therefore, if the real culprit really is someone else, then we have a duty to reinvestigate the case. Okay. Sure thing. There is nothing to suggest anything nefarious took place in the official IS-7 incident records. And right now, there is nothing to suggest that we should take Miss Bound at her word either. So our first order of business should be to arrest the culprit of the case before us, Miss Bound herself. Objection! Official records cannot always be trusted, Judge Cavell. Especially since there are those prosecutors who would think nothing of twisting the facts. Are you suggesting that the committee at the time overlooked just such a prosecutor? That's for you and your people to figure out. Man's really hit him with the not my problem. However, it is a fact that the autopsy report was faked, seeing as Mr. Frost's body was only found just now. He's got a point. He do be having a point. There really is something of Mr. Von Karma in you, Mr. Edgeworth. How so exactly? By continually defying the will of the committee and bending the truth to fit your needs, that's how. Perhaps it is time you understand how how the committee sees this case. Alright, we're jumping right into a testimony. I don't think we have any more investigation segments left in this case, but we'll see. The committee is willing to accept that Mr. Von Karma falsified Mr. Frost's autopsy report. Also, please ignore the fact that the chat says Lace Attorney. I made a typo. When I was typing out the stream title, I forgot to erase the L of Lego. Even still, Mr. Von Karma only managed to have Mr. Tangaroa convicted as an accomplice. I'm gonna turn this up a little. These headphones are so fucking quiet. I shouldn't have bought kids' headphones. Should have been more careful with what I'm buying. I personally have come to believe that the real culprit behind the IS-7 incident is Miss Bound. Her plan to poison and kill Mr. Gusto today was her attempt to frame him for Mr. Frost's murder. What? Yeah, okay. This is how the committee sees things, is it? I finished my tea. Let me just shove that back so I don't accidentally knock it off the desk or something. It is. As always, I act in sole service of law and order. Sounds to me like all she's doing is acting in service of the committee, covering up the truth. And if I can't change her mind, there will be no saving Mr. Tangaroa or Miss Bound. The committee's view. Okay, so I guess we just press things for now. Because I don't know what the fuck they want us to present. If you accept that Mr. Tangaroa, where did I get Mr. Tangaroa from? It clearly says Mr. We were talking about him. That's where I got it from. Clearly. If you accept that Mr. Von Karma falsified the report, then why won't you reinvestigate the case? Because the Goddess of Justice is never wrong. Ma'am? No. Her verdict remains true. Objection! Alright, that's his voice, isn't it? Her verdict remains true despite Mr. Von Karma's manipulations. Despite blatant evidence tampering? You sure your precious goddess is into that? Almost makes you think the committee might have other reasons for not wanting this looked into again. Further investigation is simply unnecessary since the Goddess of Justice has already spoken. Is that right? Hold it! Okie doke. I believe it was a confession that sealed Mr. Tangaroa's fate in the end. A confession secured by Mr. Von Karma, which should surely cast doubt on the final verdict itself. Samson Tangaroa confessed to the initial investigating officer, one Detective Ian Sideman. Oh, Inside Man, right. The official records state it was his interrogations that led to the conviction. Therefore, all I can say to you is the Goddess of Justice has already spoken. But it's clearly, regardless of who forced the confession, it's clearly still a forced confession. What the fuck are you talking about? Also, I just realized I haven't full screened it so I can see the game better. Jeez, I am out of practice. Unbelievable! She just won't budge at all! Are these committee guys really that big of a deal? In many ways, they are Prosecutor's worst nightmare. So kind of like how the police are to a great thief, huh? Okay. Funny how you don't seem to have a problem with working with the police when it suits you, though. Thus, they have contemplated that the real culprit is Miss Bound. Are you suggesting that Mr. Tangaroa and Miss Bound killed Mr. Frost together? Why not? You could even imagine they split their roles as thus. Mr. Tangaroa could have been the one to commit the act itself, while Miss Bound was to remove the body. What? The thought that we could ever kill Mr. Frost? You stole his corpse and hid it for 18 years. Is it really surprising that you might be considered? Miss Bound has freely confessed to all her crimes. Now is not the time to speculate about what else she might have done in the past. Very well. Then let us pass judgment on what we know she did in the present. Plan to poison and kill Mr. Gusto was her attempt to frame him for Mr. Frost's murder. How? We are not even like 15 minutes into the stream. How is my back already sore? Man. I need to sit properly. Too much shrimping. Why would Miss Bound have chosen to frame Mr. Gusto for the murder? No doubt because he suspected her of being the real culprit. He may have entered what he thought was the Winter Wing. Sorry, Winter Palace is what it was called in the fan translation. He may have entered what he thought was the Winter Wing simply to see if the Gemini statue was genuine. Little did he know that he would be greeted by a trap designed to silence him. A trap that nearly worked. Do you have any evidence to support that line of reasoning? Unfortunately, Mr. Gusto remains in critical condition. It will be difficult to prove anything until he regains consciousness. In other words, there is little we can do for now. On the contrary, there is plenty we can do. You still have not grasped the situation, have you? Then allow me to spell it out for you. Oh, we got extra. We have all the evidence we need to support both the IS-7 incident and the poison gas attack. Do we, though?
Hold
it! All the evidence you need. In the matter of the IS-7 incident, we have a body, a murder weapon, and 2 suspects. As for the poison gas attack, we have the sources of the 2 chemicals and Miss Bound's confession. As for you, Mr. Edgeworth, we also have enough evidence to see that you yourself will have to answer to the committee in a formal hearing. Whoa! That doesn't sound good. Don't worry, Malzerino. If nothing else, you're always more than welcome at Edgeworth and Co. Not helping, Fender. Your Honor, I'd greatly appreciate it if we could stay focused on the matter at hand. Of course. Now where was I? We have therefore determined there is no need to investigate either case further.
Hold it!
You really mean to assert that there are no loose ends to investigate? None at all? All the evidence has been examined at length, and there is nothing more to be learned from them. Therefore, I see no need to further prolong this trial. This court finds the defendant, Miss Judy Bound. Your Honor, I'm certain there is something that still needs to be examined. The hammer is about to fall, Mr. Edgeworth. Only hard evidence can stop it now. Present what you think requires further deliberation now, assuming there really is anything left, that is. This isn't over yet, not by a long shot. There's still one thing we don't have an answer to, and it's up to me to point it out to Judge Gavel. I don't know what that something is. Okay, it's probably we need to present it here. But what could it be? What do we got in here? Statute of Limitations. Body gone missing. There's the photo of the Winter Wing. Blowtorch, luminous cloth. Pisces statue crying tears of blood. Poison gas ingredients. This. Finger marks. Salt lamp. I mean, there's this. Their sons stopped visiting. Gusto's sons stopped visiting his father up until, like, during the finals or whatever. Platform is wet. Sketches. The chocolates. Sugar composition matches the sugar found in the pale blue liquid in Artie Frost's room, and also found in the fountain water. Statutes for dummies. I think it's this.
Objection!
Fuck. Alright, I should be reading this, shouldn't I? Would you care to revise your testimony at all, Judge Cavell? No? Why? Do you believe something is wrong with it? Well, no, nothing seems to be out of place. Then perhaps you could refrain from insinuating otherwise. Well, that blew up in my face. Okay, so it's not the kids. Tangaroa... While in detention, he had a taste disorder which was subsequently cured via medicine. Convicted as an accomplice based on his confession. Body was discovered in Tangaroa's room. No detailed autopsy report due to body going missing. I don't know. It's like there's obviously there's something we need to look at, right? But I have no fucking clue what they want us to do. We already looked at this, right? Wait, is it? Because there's salt here. Do we present it here then, maybe? There's salt. Yeah! Was I right? Was it the salt? I'm afraid there is still one question concerning the IS-7 incident that remains unanswered, Your Honor. Would you mind taking a look at this? What is it? They're test results, carried out on the liquid at the bottom of the Gemini case in the Winter Wing. As you can see, traces of blood were detected. The question is, whose? Oh, it's not, we're not talking about the salt, we're talking about the blood, okay. Until that question is answered, I hardly think you can claim to have all the evidence. Okay, I didn't think about that because I just sort of assumed like, oh yeah, well, but obviously it's Frost's blood, isn't it? There was blood in the Gemini case? Why did I not hear about this from Eustace? Because Detective Gumshoe informed me of the results directly. I was planning to tell Mr. Winner about it myself, of course. You kept this to yourself until now, despite having no jurisdiction here whatsoever? Mark my words, the committee will hear all about what you have done here today. As ever, my interest is in the truth, and if mistakes were made in the past, they must be rectified. Need to make sure I have the right things open. If you must report me to the committee, then so be it. But in return, we must be allowed to investigate this case to the very end. I mean, you don't have to be allowed. That is not my decision to make. You will need to discuss it with Eustace. Guess who's back, losers? And with good news, too! It was a close call for a minute there, but Carmelo Gusto is alive. Gusto. He made it. He's got a little seahorse tattoo. You're the ones who found me? Yep. Long time no see, Gusto. You're the attorney's assistant. You've grown. And you have an assistant of your own now? Assistant? No, I'm... He hasn't got the gig just yet. This is Gregory Edgeworth's son. Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, at your service. Fate moves in mysterious ways. I'm in your debt. If you hadn't found me in time, I wouldn't be here to thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. After all, if you hadn't lived, we wouldn't be able to ask you what really happened 18 years ago. What are you talking about? We figured out quite a bit while you were out cold, including the fact that you're probably the guy who offed poor Artie Frost. What? Is that true? Miss Bounds set up a very elaborate trap to catch Mr. Frost's murderer. A trap that involved rigging the Pisces case with poison gas. Perhaps in light of that fact, you could tell us in your own words what happened back then? Or perhaps you'd rather exercise your right to remain silent? Oh, it's not that. Gusto here is a fan of the old meditation. You know, Om and all that jazz. Wow, sleeping while standing seems pretty cool. That's one heck of a talent. Except there's no sleeping involved in meditation, Kay. Hey, Gusto, old pal. How about you snap out of it and tell us what really went... Well, tell us what went down back then. Way back when. I am so bad at reading. I was caught in the girl's trap, so I must be the killer? Is this your idea of a joke? I'm the victim here. Indeed you are, Mr. Gusto, and there is no evidence that you have done anything wrong yet. Mr. Edgeworth and Mr. Fender are merely speculating. Rest assured they have no authority here, and you may pay them no heed.
At least somebody here seems to be on my side.
Judge Faraday Cavell, it's a pleasure, Mr. Gusto. I will assist you in any way you may require. Perhaps you could begin by explaining what actually happened 18 years ago to Mr. Edgeworth?
Fine. You want me to prove I'm innocent, Mr. Prosecutor? I'll be happy to.
Objection!
So this is how you mean to play it, Judge Cavell? You're hoping Mr. Gusto will help you hide what happened instead of trying to correct the record? I believe only in the infallible judgment of the Goddess of Justice. Except it is us humans who make the actual judgment calls in a court of law. And so long as there are those who would use the law to their advantage, our rulings are fallible indeed. If you would use your position to further obscure the truth, then neither she nor I will forgive you. We shall see about that.
What do you advise, Judge Cavell?
It would seem you are under suspicion because it was you who triggered the poison gas. Specifically by opening the Pisces case's lid. Would you be so kind as to share why with us?
Understood. I came to see Frost sculptures. Simple as that. I made a mistake with the opening times and arrived a half hour early.
Miss Bound, was there no one at the reception desk at around that time? I had left the main entrance unguarded and unlocked, just in case the killer made an appearance. I was also busy making preparations elsewhere. all the way up until the gallery's opening. So no, there was no one here on the first floor then. But I did make sure that all the wings were locked up tight, except for the autumn wing, that is. I see. She did all that just to steer the culprit into the autumn wing, which is precisely where Mr. Gusto went. Sneaking into a building's pretty suspicious, however you slice it. Silence in the courtroom. I will permit no objections or interventions unless there is some evidence that the witness is lying. The courtroom? You know this is an art gallery, right? Mr. Gusto, if you could please continue by explaining why you opened the Pisces case.
I wanted to see Frost's work up close. So I went up to the Gemini. Sorry, I guess it was supposed to be the Pisces statue. And I saw that the lid was frozen on tight. So I grabbed a blowtorch from nearby and tried to open it.
Sure, this doesn't make you look suspicious at all.
When I finally got it open, gas came pouring out.
Fascinating. His is the sort of flawless testimony attorneys can only dream of. No, it's fucking not. He still hasn't explained why he opened the case. What the fuck? Oh, that's the kind of perfect, flawless testimony they mean. Yeah, the everything sounds like a lie kind. Right, so he was talking about defense attorneys, not prosecutors. I am none too satisfied with Mr. Gusto's explanation myself. Alas, there is no evidence to refute it. Come on, there must be something.
It's Bones' story you should be questioning, not mine. I am not the one who set up the gas trap. She could have killed anybody with that thing.
She turned on the sprinklers as soon as the gas was released. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was gunning for the killer and nobody else. That killer being you, old pal.
So, you believe that self-confessed criminal?
Miss Pound is far from blameless in this affair, and she will have to pay for her crimes. But so will Mr. Frost's killer.
You seem determined to pin Frost's murder on me. But I had no reason to kill him. And you have no evidence to prove otherwise. Gurk.
Can we really not prove that he's the killer, Mr. Edgeworth? Mr. Gusto fell victim to the poison gas. That much is indisputable. Yet no matter how suspicious his actions in the present may seem, they prove nothing about the past. I guess that's true, yeah. Like, there was no fucking reason for him to open the case. But I guess that's technically not breaking the law, and it's not technically proof that he's the culprit. Yeah, but then what about you, Mr. Fender? There must be something we can do. You're right. We may not have evidence, but we have plenty of intel. Let's see now. If Gusto killed Frost, he must have had a reason. He claims not to have a motive. But that can't really be true, can it? Logic time, let's go. Oh, I didn't read that, oops. If he did, he has one. Not many people commit murder just for fun. In fact, the old man had a little back and forth with Von Karma about a probable motive too, remember? How can you possibly say that with any certainty? If their relationship had broken down for some reason, cooperation ended, Gusto helped Frost in the final, but the favor wasn't returned. That could very well have been the motive behind this murder. Von Karma wouldn't let us talk to Gusto back then, but we can now. If we can put the pieces together, I think the picture we've been looking for might just emerge. Yes, I think you might be right. I need to think back over everything we know about the IS-7 incident, especially the questions that never got answered. Oh god, they're bringing back all the hard voices! And the finger marks. Were you the one wearing the gloves? Miss Scone denied that the finger marks on the frame were hers. But what if they were Mr. Gusto's? Perhaps he had wanted to take a look through the Ultimate Cookbook for himself? Sorry, just got a message on Discord. Wanted the cookbook. Had Gusto's goal been to look through the Ultimate Cookbook all along? So he asked me to go put in a new cartridge. He seemed to think there should have been more shots left than there were. In other words, the film ran out sooner than expected. Yes, the number of shots he took didn't line up with the number of shots remaining. More film had been used up than Tangaroa expected. Did someone else use the camera? Gasp. But he thought maybe he just lost track somewhere along the way. My father noticed these things for a reason. I just need to piece them together correctly. In the absence of evidence, it's the only way to the truth. Okay. So I think camera and want the cookbook, because then, you know, maybe Gusto was taking pictures of recipes or something in the cookbook. Yeah. Photographing the cookbook's contents would be a perfect way to steal its secrets undetected. And what if Mr. Gusto did just that? What if he used Mr. Tangaroa's camera to photograph the book? It'd be the perfect crime. So much better than stealing it and getting chased by the cops. Sneaky snapshot or 20, huh? That could work. The only question is, when would he have done it? Good question. What about during the afternoon tea? Didn't Alicia say that Gusto and Frost had missed out on the little tea party they had? Frost and Gusto didn't attend afternoon tea. Which brings me to the next question. When do we know for certain that Mr. Frost was still alive? Oh god, fucking Von Karma.
Then, after the contest began, nobody saw hide nor hair of Frost as he secluded himself in his room. And the only person capable of entering his locked room was Tangaroa, possessing as he did the only key. Miss Scone, were Mr. Tangaroa's works the only one you sampled?
No, dear. I couldn't help myself. When I'd finished my afternoon tea, I tiptoed over to Chillywinks' room for a little taste too. Mr. Frost had kept himself inside his room after the contest had started, but he was gone by the time Miss Scone snuck into it to sample his work. Meaning there's a good chance he was murdered before the end of afternoon tea. Okay. Gusto insists he had no reason to kill Frost, but cooperation ended. Is it these two? Because that would be his reason. Yeah. Simple as that, okay. Mr. Gusto, you and Mr. Frost conspired to create works for the contest together, did you not?
Huh? So you know my little secret?
That was Von Karma's voice. God damn it!
Mr. Fender was kind enough to inform me. Mr. Frost was in charge of the designs, while you were in charge of the flavor, is that correct? What can I say? I still had a long way to travel on the road to becoming a master confectioner.
But you only collaborated up through the semi-final. Something changed after that.
We both wanted to show what we could do. Show that we were better than...
That is not his voice.
We both wanted to show what we could do. Show that we were better than Tangaroa.
Objection!
Then why did you help Mr. Frost with his entry for the final? What grounds do you have to say that?
Your own statement, made to Mr. Von Karma 18 years ago. You told him that you had been working together right up until the day before the final. Mr. Frost's entry was carved from blocks of flavored ice. Ice which would have needed at least a day to freeze. And whose flavors would therefore have already been prepared by Mr. Gusto.
Yes, which lines up perfectly with what Gusto told me. that he helped Frost until the day before the final. In that case, why didn't Mr. Frost reciprocate and help Mr. Gusto in return? I can hardly be expected to read the minds of the dead. So, why didn't Mr. Frost help you in return, I submit that your relationship broke down for some reason. And that became the basis of your motive for murder. That's not how it was. Sure, we stopped working together, but it was all perfectly friendly.
You stopped working together in a friendly way? Kinda hard to imagine, but okay.
Besides, how do you think I did it exactly? You think I just strolled into Tangaroa's room and killed Frost? I couldn't have killed the man while Tangaroa was in there working on his chocolate pieces, could I?
I'm having a hard time nailing down Gusto's voice.
So you see, it couldn't have been me.
I wouldn't be so sure. There must have been a window of time when Mr. Tangaroa wasn't in his room. And if I can prove that, I can prove Mr. Gusto had the opportunity to kill Mr. Frost. Indeed. Because they didn't attend afternoon tea, and that was when Mr. Tangaroa was out of his room. Let's go! Logic, baby! We can be sure that Mr. Frost was alive until the beginning of afternoon tea, making tea time the only window during which Mr. Gusto could have killed him. Are you satisfied with Mr. Gusto's story now, Mr. Edgeworth? Sadly, I'm afraid I'm still rather unsatisfied. But things are finally starting to become clear, and the truth will soon come to light at last. I can barely hear it. These headphones are so fucking quiet. Do you mean to say you've uncovered new evidence?
Evidence? No.
I was hoping I might convince Mr. Gusto to open up to us about it instead. Oh, is it mind games again? It is. Mr. Gusto, I have a question for you. Mind chess, let's go. To the chess dimension with you.
I said I have a question for you. Nah. What is it?
You chose to make your entry for the final on your own.
I told you, I wanted to test myself. I wanted to prove I was the best in the world.
Objection!
If that were the case, then surely you wouldn't have chosen to cheat in the first place. So tell me, Mr. Gusto, why did you feel the need to team up with Mr. Frost? To the chess dimension with you. 18 years ago, Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost collaborated in the confectionery contest. But why did they work together? And why did they enter the contest in the first place? That's the information I need to get out of my opponents somehow. Oh, that's a lot of chess pieces. Mr. Gusto seems to have a habit of pretending to be asleep when things aren't going his way. He's meditating. He's not sleeping. Let's start by focusing on why he chose to work with Mr. Frost. By my hand, now is the time to dig up the truth that was buried all those years ago. Mind chess, commence. Mr. Gusto, what inspired you to collaborate with Mr. Frost?
We were acquaintances before the contest. He was interested in entering the contest, so we decided to sign up together.
And your decision to pair up with a sculptor had nothing to do with your lack of faith in your skills?
You don't know me. We joined forces because we wanted to make the most perfect creations possible. That's all.
Can you do that on your own? Okay, no, never mind. Okay, so we present stuff. We present stuff to him when he's meditating, not the other way around. Okay. I will expose all your lies in the end, Mr. Gusto. It's only a matter of time.
Sorry. Wanted to see if I could do an impression of you. Turns out it's easy.
He's happy to bide his time as well, it seems. I'll need to pick my words more wisely. Oops. Need to study my opponent's reactions and pick my own responses accordingly. Okay. Okay, I already read this part. Bide time.
Frost's son and mine were in the same grade at school, so we got along pretty well too.
Oh? So you were just two friends who happened to try for the title of world's greatest confectioner? Huh. Pretending to be asleep when the going gets tough won't work on me, I'm afraid. That felt weird, because normally it's like nonsense reply, and then once they finally give their tell, it's like, hey, actual refutation of thing you're supposed to do. But here it's just fucking, wake up! What the fuck? Huh, pretending to be asleep when the going gets tough won't work on me, I'm afraid. Mr. Frost was a sculptor, Mr. Gusto. I doubt he cared much about winning a title for confectioners. In which case, he probably had a different motive for taking part in the contest, wouldn't you say? Let's go!
Fine. It was me. I wanted that title. Frost was only in it for the prize, the ultimate cookbook.
I see. And since your objectives dovetailed so neatly, you decided to work together. But then, something happened. A breakdown in your relationship, perhaps? If so, I want to know why.
Mr. Prosecutor, I'm still quite unwell after my brush with death. Push me too hard. And I'll be on my way back to the medical room.
No, wait.
Then you'd better wrap this up quickly. I'm already dangerously low on patience.
Mr. Gusto is trying to desperately make his escape, but he's not going anywhere yet. No, oh, that's supposed to be Edgeworth's voice. Not as long as he's still keeping things from me. Let's figure out what he was really after next. Let's go, time back. There's no time to lose. I need to pick the right line of questioning, and fast. Did you just want to appear on Bacon? You too had your eyes on something other than the title, didn't you? After all, I'm not sure the title of world's greatest confectioner even counts for that much.
Now you're insulting the way of the confectioner? My goal, my only goal, was to win that title. I didn't care about anything else. You have no idea how much it would have meant to me.
Bide time. Right. Because he's opposite. Because in most of the others, when they give their tell, that's when you bide. But here, it's when he gives his tell, that's when you present. It's weird and different. I think. Maybe I'm misremembering the earlier logic chesses. Mind chesses, rather.
Look, my sense of design may not have been up to snuff back then, but you should see me now.
Oh, so you've improved?
You bet I have. I didn't do all that training in Zheng Fa for nothing.
Bide time.
I looked up to Tangaroa, you know, spent hours poring over the designs of his work. Even used to watch his show with my son.
Sounds to me like Mr. Tangaroa's work was especially influential to your early studies. And with his recipe book, you might have even become the best someday.
Maybe. The book was a real treasure, no doubt about that. Any confectioner would have wanted it.
So you were interested in the book too, huh? Huh. You claim that your only goal was to win the title. Yet you also seem to have had an interest in the contest's prize, the ultimate cookbook.
The greatest collection of recipes by the world's greatest confectioner. I can't say I had absolutely no interest in it. And even if I did, what exactly is so wrong with that?
Nothing, I suppose. Only that the book contained recipes for medicines, not desserts. And everyone who entered the contest was and everyone who entered the contest supposedly knew that. I feel like I'm finally getting somewhere. I can't let him slip from my grasp now. I just need to stay calm and keep the pressure on. Next, let's find out why he wanted the cookbook. Do you know what it was really worth? I don't know. Oh, what it really was, rather. Did you know how valuable... Oh no, it was what it was worth. Did you know how valuable the cookbook really was?
What kind of question is that? It was a collection of Tangaroa's recipes. There wasn't a confectioner in the world who wouldn't want to get their hands on it.
Okay, never mind. I don't have a clue as to how to proceed with this line of questioning. I'd better try another tack. So your plan was to win the cookbook and use it to help you with your own creations?
What else? A book like that could have improved my craft tenfold.
You could have made a lot of money if you'd sold it.
I don't know much about what was actually in there. But it was worth more than money, I'll tell you just that. ...
You know more than you're letting on. Come now, Mr. Gusto. I think you know more about the Ultimate Cookbook than you claim. Spin!
They told us a little about it at the start of the contest.
Then you know what kind of recipes it actually contained, don't you? And that they weren't just dessert recipes at all.
I see you did your homework. Fine. So you know what was really in there. The Ultimate Cookbook, or the Angel's Cookbook, to give it its proper title. It's a collection of chemical formulas, and ways to synthesize new medicines nobody had ever heard of.
I can't check my... I was gonna check my... Because I remember it still had like Angel something or other on the book. So I guess... I guess it is still canon. They just don't refer to it as that most of the time for some reason. So he did know that the cookbook actually contained recipes for medicines. This could be an important clue. Did you know how valuable the cookbook really was?
What kind of question is that? It was a collection of Tangaroa's recipes. There wasn't a confectioner in the world who wouldn't have wanted to get their hands on it.
Time to deploy my clue. Your designs may have improved thanks to your training in Zhengfa, but you clearly didn't do enough to work on your skills of deception. You've already admitted that you knew the Ultimate Cookbook was a collection of recipes for medicines. Spin! Thereby making your interest not gastronomical, but pharmaceutical in nature. You needed the medicine. He's not trying to become a pharmacist. You're a confectioner, Mr. Gusto. You had no professional interest in revolutionary new medicines, which suggests that your interest must have been personal.
I underestimated you. Fine, you're right. Winning the title wasn't the only reason I entered the contest. I needed one of the recipes in that book. It was for my son. He was sick.
He was? Tell me more.
That's none of your business. I've told you as much as you need to know.
He looks rattled, but I can't let him off the hook. Let's find out what this mystery illness was. I've almost gotten to the bottom of this. I can feel it. Just a few more moves. Tell me more about your son. Tell me a little more about your son.
He was my pride and joy, and my biggest fan.
And you entered the contest in order to help him?
You clearly don't have children of your own. Any father would have done the same. I would have done anything to help him. Anything.
Bide my time.
He would come to see me here at the contest venue, too. Right up through the semi-final.
Really? He didn't get in the way of your work? If you were trying to beat Samson
Tangaroa, surely you didn't have time to look after a child. Yeah, well, I wanted to do what I could for him. He said he wanted to always be the first to try my creations. Bide time. I'm still recovering, so oh damn it. Wait! May need to be a little more proactive. Oh, so now he's not meditating, it's just when he looks nervous. Okay. He's changed his tell. Tell me more about your son. Bide time. Didn't get in the way of your work. Wanted to do what I could for him, and yeah, because now he looks nervous. So now we do the thing. You said your son was sick, Mr. Gusto, and yet he was able to come and join you for the contest. Spin! It wasn't that kind of illness. Not life-threatening anyway. This feels like it could be an important clue. Okay, what was the name of your son's condition? Could you tell me the name of the disease your son suffered from? You're a real cold customer, Mr. Prosecutor. Isn't it enough that he was seriously ill? Would you force me to tell you more? Time to deploy my clue. But it wasn't life-threatening. Oh, it's a bishop this time. I wonder if the different chess pieces actually represent something, or whether they're just sort of there. You've already shared with me that your son's illness wasn't life-threatening. So why are you so reluctant to share any further details? Spin! It may not have been life-threatening, but that doesn't mean it hadn't been life-altering. I see. That must have been very hard on both of you. Of course it was. That's why I did everything I could to find a cure. We were desperate. He couldn't taste anything. Not even his favorite desserts. He's meditating. Was he overweight? No. As I understand it, the Ultimate Cookbook contains the recipe for a very particular medicine. One that Mr. Tangaroa used to cure himself of his own taste disorder. Spin! So he had a 2? 2, you say? So your son has a taste disorder then, am I correct? Ah! How did I let that slip? You've been asking me to believe that you needed to win the cookbook in order to cure your son. But was that really the case? Of course it was. What are you saying? I'm saying that I'm not so sure that's true based on everything you've told me. Dang it! I don't have a clue as how to proceed with this line of questioning. Better try another tack. Okay, so we do this one first. And then we go back to that one. So you needed the cookbook to cure your son? Yeah. Nowadays you can get medicine. Nowadays you can get the medicine he needed anywhere. But back then, that book was our only hope. Which is why I didn't dare waste my time on fancy tea parties. I gave my all to my work. What about Mr. Tangaroa's work? Surely that tea break gave you the perfect opportunity to go steal a glance at it. And what makes you think I had the energy or time to care about what the others had made? I think you've made it abundantly clear how much interest you had in Mr. Tangaroa's work. What's more, if you were that determined to win the Ultimate Cookbook, I seriously doubt you'd have passed up on a chance to take a peek at your competitor's entries. Spin! It's only been an hour? What the fuck? Man, streaming takes longer than I remember. This is what happens when you don't stream for like a month. You forget what it's like. I'd had plenty of chances throughout the contest to see and sample my rival's work, you know. But each time I did, nothing seemed to have any flavor. Must have been nerves or something. Nothing Mr. Gusto tasted had any flavor. This seems like it could be an important clue. Well now. Could you tell me the name? This wasn't life-threatening. Spin. Couldn't taste anything.
taste disorder. Speen. He had it too. Son has a taste disorder. Ah, how'd I let that slip? You've been asking me to believe that you needed to win the cookbook in order to cure your son. But was that really the case?
Of course it was. What are you saying?
I'm saying I'm not so sure that's true based on everything you've told me. Time to deploy my clue. It's a rook. Taste disorders are difficult to live with. It isn't easy not being able to enjoy your food. You should know, after all, you just told me you'd experienced something like that during the contest. You said that nothing you sampled had any flavor. Those were your words, correct? Which would seem to suggest that you were suffering from a taste disorder. Speen! A confectioner without a sense of taste? Not exactly ideal. Are you sure it wasn't actually your own condition that you were seeking a cure for, Mr. Gusto?
I've had enough of your speculations. I managed just fine in that contest. Made all my own entries, no problems.
But weren't you working with Mr. Frost? Sorry, but I'm afraid you're contradicting your own testimony. You already admitted that you and Mr. Frost had worked together during the contest. It's too late to claim you did it all on your own now. Boom. You would have us believe that you are a man of principle, a dedicated student of the confectioner's art. Yet you abandoned those principles and conspired with Mr. Frost to rig the contest. Also, you could cure your own taste disorder.
You got me, Mr. Prosecutor. As you said, my sense of taste was shot. My son's was fine. I'd kept it hidden for so long. 18 years and nobody knew.
Sadly, you can lie to others, but you can't lie to me. Both Mr. Gusto and Mr. Frost entered the contest hoping to obtain the ultimate cookbook. For the medicine that would cure Mr. Gusto's disorder, and the money it would bring in for Mr. Frost. Thus, an uneasy alliance was forged. And that, I believe, is checkmate. Let's go! We got healed. Mind chess checkmate. Let's go.
I'll admit it. You're good. I never told anybody any of this, but you figured it all out anyway. It's true. 18 years ago, I developed...
Aguzia. That's how Google said it was pronounced.
I developed aguzia.
What's aguzia?
It's a taste disorder that makes it so you can't taste anything at all. The confectioner's worst nightmare.
Mr. Fender, is this what Mr. Tangaroa had as well? No, the big man had what they call dissociated taste disorder. Basically, some things he could taste just fine, while others had no flavor at all.
So he suffered too. Can't have been easy. Not when there wasn't a way to cure it on the market.
Which is why you needed Mr. Tangaroa's cookbook. Do you admit now that that was the real reason you entered the contest?
It was only one of the reasons. I wasn't lying when I said I wanted the title. When I put my mind to something, it gets done. And I won't lose to anybody. I may not have been able to taste it then, but I still knew my stuff was good enough to win.
Oh? So you went into the final thinking you stood a good chance of winning?
Of course.
What was it that Fender said about Mr. Tangaroa? About what Mr. Tangaroa thought of Mr. Gusto's creations? I find it interesting that he just straight up, like, he'll say Mr. Such and Such about everyone else, but when it comes to Fender, he just calls him Fender. It's never Mr. Fender.
Mr. Gusto's creation were a perfect balance of flavor and design, at least up through the semi-final. But disappointingly, his entry for the final was subpar on both counts.
Hello, Rai. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a good day. Hope the start of your subathon went well. We are currently playing through the latter part of Case 3 of this game. I don't know how much time is left in the case, but I'm hoping to finish Case 3 today. It's going good. It's going good. My voice is probably going to be suffering by the end of it because of all the characters, but we'll see how we go. Subathon started in 7 minutes, almost all goes in the first half hour. Holy shit. Hell yeah. Time to start working on stretch goals.
We were told that your entry for the final was far from the prize-winning taste sensation you describe. What happened, Mr. Gusto? What went wrong that day? Fine. You want me to talk? I'll talk. But you're not going to like what I have to say.
Testimony time, let's go. My entry for the final.
Frost and I were working together right up through the semi-final. I handled the flavor, and he did the designing. But I wanted to face Tangaroa in the final on my own. No help, just me and my skills. So I helped Frost with his entry, but mine I did alone. If it didn't taste good in the final, that's on me. What can I say? I lacked training. And that's all there is to it. Happy now? Ugh. There don't seem to be any obvious contradictions in his testimony. Yep, not that I thought it'd be easy to get anything real out of him. He's managed to not let slip what really happened for 18 years, after all. Why don't you try pushing him a bit, Malzarino? See if you can't shake something loose. I think I just might have to, Fender.
Alright. I guess that's our key to start pressing. Handle the flavor, he did the designing.
Frost was in charge of designing the work, and...
Words! You know, I had a thought, like, a couple weeks back, because I've been reading a lot of fan fiction lately. I'm just like, what if I just start, like, a fucking second channel where I just read out fan fiction like it's a fucking audiobook? This game is convincing me maybe I shouldn't do that, because clearly I can't fucking read. Anyway,
Frost was in charge of the...
Why not on main? It doesn't fit on main. My main is just fucking me playing video games and occasionally singing. Also, it's fucking hot in here. I hate summer. Also, yes, hi, it's summer over here. Southern Hemisphere person. And Lego building, yes, and Lego building. Oh, by the way, I don't know if there's gonna be a Lego stream next month, but I did, my Christmas present from my mum was a $100 voucher for Lego. So, $100 gift card. So I'm like, okay, I guess I can buy more Lego now. Also, you can do whatever you want with your channel. Yeah, I just feel like it'd fit better on its own thing. Make it like its own thingamajigger, but I don't know. At the very least, it's going to sit off to the side as a random idea until I finish the fanfiction that I'm writing, at which point I will decide whether or not to make it a thing. Anyway, right, the line that I failed to read twice in a row.
Frost was in charge of designing the work you both submitted, while you handled the taste. Yeah, he was a sculptor, a craftsman, and his sense of design was second to none. But he was clueless about confectionery, which is where I came in. We both did what the other couldn't. Heh, and boy did you not have an eye for aesthetics. Not even the simple stuff. Oh, here he goes. Behold! How do you like me now?
It's a phoenix.
Huh. The national symbol of Zhangfa.
Oh, that's why he makes a phoenix. Oh. Oh, I didn't know that. Cause I always knew he makes the chicken that's supposed to be hydrate now. Okay, thank you, Kenna. He makes the chicken that's supposed to be a rooster. He makes the dog that's supposed to be a wolf, and I think and he makes the seahorse that's supposed to be a dragon. But there's actually a reason why he makes a phoenix. I like that. Oh yeah, it's a phoenix. That's awesome.
I'll say. Pretty different from the stuff you were pumping out 18 years ago. Ha 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 ha! Behold the fruits of my training. I've dedicated my whole life to the craft. But back then, we both needed each other's help, so we joined hands until the final.
I want to face him on the own.
Hold it!
Press.
You're serious about winning the title, then? Of course. The art of confectionery is my life. Why wouldn't I have wanted to be crowned the greatest? But I still had a lot to learn back then. Guess it's no surprise my work wasn't up to scratch.
But the title wasn't the only thing you wanted. There was the cookbook, too. And you wanted the book even more than you wanted the title. Isn't that right, Mr. Gusto?
Overruled.
Okay. Mr. Edgeworth, you are badgering the witness who is still suffering from the effects of today's attack. I cannot allow this harassment to continue. I understand, Your Honor, but... Ignore him, Mr. Gusto. You need not answer that vile prosecutor's question. But please, do continue with your testimony in your own time. Okay. Thanks, Gavel.
Hold it!
So you're saying Mr. Frost didn't help you at all? But he'd helped you up until then, correct? It's a bit strange for him to stop so late in the... What? It's a bit strange for him to stop so late into the contest now. I think part of it is at least the fact... Like, I do get tongue-tied normally, but it probably doesn't help that I'm trying to put on a different voice while I'm doing it. That's what I'm blaming it on. It's Edgeworth's fault, not mine.
Strange or not, it's the truth. Could be he had his reasons too, I don't know.
If he's lying, it's gonna be a headache to prove. 18 years is a long time. I blame Edgeworth as well. Not unless that gizmo of yours has a built-in lie detector, Kay? If it did, I'd have stolen the show from Mr. Edgeworth long before now. Don't worry, Fender. I can tell when he's lying. No doohickeys assistance required. Please, Mr. Gusto, continue your testimony. My brain is just inserting words where there aren't any.
Hold it!
And yet, I heard your creations prior to the final were scored highly for their flavor. So what went wrong? Was there some kind of cooking accident on that day?
No, nothing like that. It was... I told you, I had a taste disorder.
I blame Edgeworth's brain for that. It's all Edgeworth's fault.
My sense of taste failed me. It's as simple as that.
But Mr. Frost's entry was complimented on its flavor. Your sense of taste hadn't failed you then. Did something happen overnight? I don't think he's going to spill any more beans, Mr. Edgeworth. Then perhaps I should ask him about something else. What about the semi-final? Did something change between the semi-final and the final, Mr. Gusto?
Not really.
The only difference between the semi-final and the final was Mr. Frost wasn't helping me. Do we have the evidence for this? Yeah. Gusto's son visited his father daily up through the semi-final, but not at the final. I feel like if I didn't already know how this case went, this would probably have taken me so long to figure out.
Objection!
I can think of one significant difference between the semi-final and the final, Mr. Gusto. Your son. It is him in the photograph, correct? You told me he was there with you up through the semi-final. He was. What of it? What indeed? He was here with you until the semi-final, until he suddenly wasn't for the final. And just as suddenly, your work went from being lauded for its flavor to being lambasted for it. I don't think that's a coincidence, do you? Do you? He wasn't just spending quality time with his father. He was playing a much more pivotal role than that. I just wanted him to see me hard at work. To show him I was trying my best for us. Who knows? Maybe it was him being here that helped me do so well in those early rounds.
He talks a good game, but nothing about this guy screams super dad to me.
Indeed. Thankfully, we would only have to give such an idea credence if his story were true. After all, how much could the encouragement of one small boy affect the taste of a grown man's work? Mr. Gusto prided himself on the flavor of his creations, but then he lost his sense of taste. He must have had a tough time maintaining his high standards after such a devastating loss. Unless... I'm sure your son was here to cheer you on. But that wasn't all he was here to do, was it? You're a very suspicious man, Mr. Prosecutor. But why not try answering yourself for a change? What was an elementary school kid doing here other than to support his father?
Well, it's selected right here, to taste your creations.
Your son knew the taste of your work pretty well, I imagine, Mr. Gusto. He was my biggest fan. Of course he knew it. In which case, he would have been a good judge of whether something tasted on brand, so to speak, no? What are you implying? You've already told us that you are suffering from a taste disorder. Nah. I'll admit it. You're good. I never told anybody any of this, but you figured it all out anyway.
This literally happened like 10 minutes ago. We do not need a flashback. But I guess that's just how Ace Attorney works. Ace Attorney loves its pointless flashbacks.
It's true. 18 years ago, I developed a gyuja. No one knew about your condition. Indeed, I doubt Mr. Frost would have wanted to continue collaborating with you if he had found out.
Well, had he found out. It's close enough.
After all, it was your job to make sure his creations tasted good. Therefore, your son wasn't just there to support you. He was helping you by taste testing your work. Ah!
Is there supposed to be music right now? Because I'm not hearing anything. Okay, no, there is music. It's just not the music I thought it was. Yeah, my headphones are like super fucking quiet. Probably because I accidentally bought kids' headphones instead of adult headphones. Because I just wanted something cheap. Okay, there we go. There's a louder note. Anyway. So when the music's real quiet, I just can't fucking hear it. Anyway. Dang. Now it all makes sense. Frost stuff tasted good because it was really finished the day before when the kid was still here.
You have a vivid imagination, Mr. Prosecutor. But do you seriously think I'd trust a kid to tell me how to adjust the taste of my masterpieces? I have some pride, you know, even back then. Do you now? My designs may not have been much to write home about back then. But I always knew my work tasted better than anybody else's. You think I'd risk everything by putting my reputation in the hands of a child? This is just more speculation. That's all it is. In that case, I ask to speak with your son this instant. Let's see how much of your story he can corroborate. Sadly for you, my son is no longer my concern. What? As soon as I got my sense of taste back, I went straight to Zhengfa to start my training. And cut off all ties with the kid for good.
What?
You abandoned your own child?
Ain't that the half of it?
No one knows where he is, even now.
The cops have looked all over for him, but no dice.
So, still think you can prove your asinine theory? I'd like to see you try. You think I care about anything besides confectionery? Think again. I got my sense of taste back. What need do I have for a son?
Jesus fuck.
Silence in the courtroom. While Mr. Gusto's words and actions may demonstrate a certain lack of humanity on his part, the goddess of justice cannot judge him for that. Therefore, Mr. Edgeworth, I believe it is time for you to admit defeat. Yeah, give it up. 18 years is a long time for anything to surface now, proof or otherwise. Mr.
Edgeworth, we have to do something. If we don't, the truth might be lost forever.
Where are you, Detective Gumshoe? Can't imagine whose blood it could possibly be, but I'll get it tested right away, sir. Please do, Detective. That's the last piece of the puzzle, I'm sure of it. Once we know whose blood it is. Hey, Miles. Sorry to cut in on your mind palace time, but I was pondering something myself. Our friend Gusto didn't come here just to check up on the body, did he? You mean because he tried to open the case? Exactamundo. Think we have anything that might explain why he tried to do that? We might, if Detective Gumshoe can make it back in time with a certain piece of evidence. That's quite enough idle chatter, defense. Now, if you... Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Sorry to keep you waiting! Here comes Gumshoe! Heh, speak of the devil. But, oh, there he is, he's up there. I was like, where the fuck is he? I thought he was gonna come bursting in from the bottom. I take it you have the test results, Detective. Oh, it's the Gumshoe remix. I really like this remix of his theme. Yes, sir. The lab just got back to me. Detective, please. Court is in session. Now then, am I right to assume you are bringing us the evidence Mr. Edgeworth was just speaking of?
What? Hey, no fair. Why didn't anybody tell me about any of this?
It is indeed the evidence in question, Your Honor. It needed testing, so I asked him to carry it out.
Why is everybody always helping you? I'm supposed to be the one in charge here.
Mr. Winner, I'm sorry I didn't involve you, but this is important. Can we at least hear what the detective has to say?
Well, alright.
So, Detective Gumshoe, what did the tests have to tell us? You're not gonna believe this, but the owner of the blood we found in the liquid at the bottom of the Gemini case is Carmelo Gusto, the victim of the poison gas attack. What are you talking about? Thank you, Detective. You've been very helpful. Well, it looks like my suspicions were correct.
What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth?
Yes, what do you mean? Explain yourself. What is the significance of this blood to this case?
Reading.
It's only the very thing the perpetrator of the IS-7 incident has been trying to hide all these years. The fact that your blood was found inside the Gemini case, Mr. Gusto, is as good as us finding your blood lying next to Mr. is as good as us finding your body lying right next to Mr. Frost's body. I've got this fucking epic music just to rub in the fact that I can't fucking read. Reading is hard, that's why I don't do it. Why would there be traces of your blood there of all Why would there be traces of your blood there of all places, Mr. Gusto? If you won't answer Her Honor, Mr. Gusto, then I will. There wasn't just blood in the liquid from the Gemini case. There were traces of salt and sugar, too. There were. And if you remember, one particular part of Mr. Frost's work was allegedly very salty indeed. Oh yeah! You're talking about what Delisha told us back then, right? What was it again?
Did they ever? I've never tried ices so scrumptious in all my life. Really? Really? Man, I wish I could have had a bite. Well, scrumptious except for the salty bit, of course. It was unbearable.
The salty bit?
It's in the other photo you've got there. This bit, the harpy thing.
Gemini's a liar. Yes, the liar. And only the liar. Tasted as if it had been flavored with salt. There were no traces of salt anywhere else in Mr. Frost's entry. Very interesting. Then perhaps you can tell us, Mr. Edgeworth. Where did the salt on the liar come from?
It would be the salt lamp.
Take that!
This is the lamp from the IS-7 incident. Indeed, and I believe that the salt that gave the liar its flavor came from just such a lamp. Mr. Von Karma had established that both salt lamps were in Mr. Tangaroa's room at the time of the crime. One of them was used to kill Mr. Frost, and it was stained with his blood. But no corresponding pool of blood was found in Mr. Tangaroa's room. Right, because the culprit had chucked the piece of chocolate with that on it into the little stream. Furthermore, aside from the liar, no traces of salt were found anywhere else in Mr. Frost's room either. Hey, come to think of it, the lamps we found in Delicia's room were both broken. The lamps appear to be broken. Bulbs were smashed. Both of them. Maybe they fell and broke on the floor? We never did figure out how the one that wasn't used to kill Frost got busted, but... Are we thinking maybe it had Gusto's blood on it at some point? Anyone whose blood was found on one of the lamps would have been a person of interest to the police. So the killer needed to hide the blood somehow, and in a way that wouldn't arouse suspicion. Are you seriously suggesting that the liar was used to do just that? I am. I suspect that the bloody salt was somehow applied to the liar so that it could be hidden inside the case. Because unlike the fountain water, the sculptures would have needed more time and care to test properly. So he waited and waited for his chance to dispose of the liar undetected. Then the reason he's here today is... 18 years ago, Mr. Frost's body and the evidence pointing to his killer were taken away together. This, of course, was not part of the perpetrator's plan, and thus a new dilemma arose. How could he be sure that neither Mr. Frost's body nor the evidence wouldn't be discovered someday? So back he comes 18 years later, sneaking in bright and early to try and cover his tracks. Well, Mr. Gusto, are you finally ready to admit it? That you are the one responsible for the IS-7 incident?
Mr. Gusto, it's all because of you that Samson...
Gusto. So I finally got caught, huh? All these years later. Nobody came close back then, not even the big-shot prosecutor, or the attorney. That's some impressive work, Mr. Prosecutor. I have to hand it to you. You admit it then? That you murdered Artie Frost? Yeah. Sure I do. I did it. I killed him. But he only had himself to blame. What do you mean by that? He agreed to help me. We were supposed to help each other so that one of us could win. And whoever was supposed to let the other... And whoever won was supposed to let the other use the cookbook. But on the day of the final, the rat finally showed his true colors. Seriously, Frost? Oh wait, this is supposed to be a younger Gusto. Seriously, Frost? We had a deal. Sorry, I'm not helping you in the final. Our little agreement is over, Gusto. But I helped you. I spent all day yesterday making the ice for your pieces. Did you? And you can prove that, I suppose. What do you... Wait. You were planning to betray me right from the start, weren't you? After Frost double-crossed me, I had to make my piece for the final by myself. And like you said, my son wasn't there, so I didn't have any help with the flavor either. So much for the pride you claim to have in your ability to make delicious desserts. Go ahead and judge. You have no idea what it was like for someone like me to lose my sense of taste. I gave up everything to become the best. Everything! I take pride in that. Something someone like you could never understand. You're right. I don't understand. Do you take pride in the fact that you resorted to murder? Or that you abandoned your son? Why would I want to understand someone who could do such things? A man can't afford to rely on other people. I learned that the hard way 18 years ago. My son never showed up on the day of the final. And in hindsight, I wouldn't be surprised if Frost was the reason why.
Why would you think that? What exactly happened to your son?
How am I supposed to know? I told you. He's none of my concern anymore. And according to you guys, nobody knows where he is now either.
And you don't care? You're horrible! You're an irredeemable monster! Oh, what took you so long? Idiot. Sorry, that just reminded me of that.
So with his disappearance, you too went your chances of winning, correct?
I'm only... God, I forgot how long I streamed for. How has it only been an hour and a half? That's like only halfway through my usual streams. What the heck? I don't stream for a month and suddenly I forget everything. Wild. Well, I say I don't stream for a month. I did stream, like, before I left, but besides that, I didn't stream for a month. I didn't do a gaming stream for a month. Yeah, I had to find another way of getting my hands on that book. That's when inspiration struck. I decided to skip afternoon tea and snuck into Tangaroa's room. It should have been so easy. All I had to do was photograph the formulas I needed and get out of there. But then Frost showed up. I thought I might find you in here. Stealing recipes from the famous cookbook, hmm? Wait a second, he's not wearing... Bruh, they established that the finger marks on the frame didn't have any fingerprints on them, so the person must have been wearing gloves. They couldn't have even put gloves on on Gusto for this shot. Inconsistency.
Frost! What's this? A cure for taste disorders? Oh no, that's just too tragic. A confectioner who can't taste anything. What will people say? If you tell anybody, I'll... Ah! You'll do what? Can't even hit me, you miserable worm. Why, you... Frost shoved me hard. When I went to punch him, he knocked me clean off my feet. I crashed into one of the lamps. Must have been when my blood got on it.
So Mr. Frost wasn't the first to get hurt.
When it was all over, I realized I had to get rid of that blood somehow, so I scraped off all the bloodied bits. I dissolved those salt shavings in some flavored ice mixture and brushed it all over the lamp, all over the harp.
And that's how you made the evidence linking you to the murder vanish.
Frost was going to blackmail me. He would have made me give him money to keep quiet about my condition.
So you decided you had to kill him?
Yeah, I guess I did. Why would I let him live? Would you want someone holding something like that over your head? Besides, he's the one who drew first blood. Makes for a solid case of self-defense, don't you think?
So that was the impetus behind it all.
Anyway, I initially took the lamp to Frost's room. Went straight there once I'd figured out how I was going to hide the bloody part.
Inspired by all the ice sculpting tools lying about the place, I guess.
You're not as dumb as you pretend to be.
You know, I don't think he's pretending. Fender really is just like that sometimes.
Yeah, figured I could use them to chip it off and grind it up. Once that was done, painting the stuff all over the harp was easy.
But why Samson? Why did you have to frame him?
I never meant for the cops to pin it on him. That was your fault. You and the rest of them. Why do you think I went through the trouble of placing the lamp and cloths back into Scone's room?
There's only one reason to plant the murder weapon in the room of another contestant, and that's to cast suspicion on that person. What? You tried to frame me, Gutsy Pants? Gusty Pants? Gusty Pants? HUD nicknames are just, good lord.
Yeah.
I really have to wonder how silly her nicknames were in the Japanese version for them to turn into something like this in the translation. But why? Why poor old me?
I respected Tangaroa. He was the best, a true champion. I would never have wanted him to take the fall. But you're a fraud. Your work wasn't even real. You had no respect for our craft at all. You deserve to be punished for what you did.
Oh, Gusty, how could you?
Had you refrained from eating Tangaroa's work, Frost's body wouldn't have been found. My plan was to wait until Tangaroa was judging your room. That's when I'd sneak the corpse into Frost's room and freeze it. But thanks to you, Bound found it before I had the chance to retrieve it.
I don't understand. Why did you need to freeze his body at all?
Ha! Why indeed?
Mr. Edgeworth? Surely you must know. Why did Mr. Gusto need to freeze Mr. Frost's body? To obscure the time of death. Learn that from Ace Attorney and Danganronpa. If you make a body real cold, you can throw off the time of death. Or real hot for that matter. Extreme temperature will just completely throw off the time of death. I think I learned I've definitely mentioned this before while playing this exact fucking game. I learned the cold stuff from Ace Attorney and the hot stuff from Danganronpa. Mr. Gusto needed to freeze Mr. Frost's body in order to obscure the time of death. If they determined that the murder occurred during afternoon tea, he would have been an obvious suspect.
Bingo! Preparing Frost's body wasn't simple. Preparing everything took time.
Or freezing Frost's body wasn't simple.
Preparing everything took time. So I decided to put his body in the chest in Tangaroa's room while I got everything ready in Frost's. At the time, it seemed like the perfect hiding place. Never counted on some gluttonous pharmacist showing up and making the whole ship collapse.
I still don't get it though. Why disguise the body as an ice sculpture at all?
The sooner it was found, the smaller the effect of the freezing would have had on masking the time of death. Therefore, he needed to disguise it, at least until it had fully frozen.
How awful. Using Mr. Frost's own work to help you cover up the truth behind his murder?
Ironically, Tangaroa would have been just fine if the body hadn't been found before I got it out of his room. If only things had gone to plan. He wouldn't even have been arrested, let alone convicted.
You mean it was my fault? Everything that happened to Samson, it was all because I found the body? I need water. God damn it, Gusto's voice.
Don't let him get inside your head, Jutes. None of this is your fault. If it wasn't Samson, it would have been Delicia instead.
Thank you for the redeem, right? No, I was thinking the other day, I've mentioned on Blue Sky, I'm working on like a 2.0 model, finally, after all this time of saying that I need to do it. But I'm like, why am I making the full body model when you're only ever going to see me from like the chest up? Then I realized like, when I stretch, my model just fucking zooms out like that. So yeah, maybe I do need to make the full body. Anyway. If it wasn't Samson, it would have been Delicia instead. She would have been the one they arrested. Either way, there's only one person to blame here, and that's Gusto. Didn't help that the initial detective was so bad at his job either. He never even told the prosecutor that the body had vanished. So then Mr. Von Karma had unwittingly placed Mr. Tangaroa under arrest in the absence of a body. I mean, I guess it would explain why he was so keen to wrap things up. Still, you'd think he'd notice something as big as that if he'd taken a look at a few reports, right? Not if someone had been deliberately distorting the facts of the case, though. Either way, it seems that Mr. Von Karma didn't know about the body until after the arrest had been made. But admitting that would have spoiled his perfect record. So he kept it to himself and proceeded to prosecute Mr. Tangaroa regardless. Can this really be true? You don't feel bad at all? Someone spent 18 years in prison because of you.
Heh. Sticks and stones, girlie. Sticks and stones. What a jerk. I ought to arrest you right now, pal.
I'm afraid I can't allow you to do that, Detective.
So you noticed, huh? Glad somebody did. The judge is right. You can't lay a finger on me.
What? Why? You just confessed to murder.
No idea, huh? Then I guess I'd better lay it out for you. Why you can't arrest me? I killed Frost 18 years ago. The statute of limitations for murder in this country is 15 years. You do the math, you can't arrest me. You think I'd have confessed otherwise?
That's right, the statute of limitations is only 15 years. Is this really the end of the line, Mr. Edgeworth?
Nah. Once the statute has expired, he can't be charged, so...
But...
How unfortunate, Mr. Edgeworth.
I'm afraid both Mr. Gusto's confession and your deductions will have to be struck from the record. That's... No? Look, just because he can't be prosecuted for his crimes doesn't mean his testimony can't be admitted to, like, get, what's-his-face? To get Tangaroa off the hook, surely. Surely. That's... I don't know anything about law, actually. Maybe that is how it works. And that Mr. Tangaroa's conviction will remain in place. That is... If that's really how it works, that's so fucking stupid. I'm hoping this is just the Ace Attorney legal system being fucked up, and that's not actually how it works. Law be kind of stupid. So true.
But we've finally proven that the police never had Mr. Frost's body in their possession.
I would not be surprised if that's how it works IRL sometimes. Yeah. Yeah.
Even if we can't arrest Mr. Gusto, surely Mr. Tangaroa has grounds for a retrial on that basis.
See, Edgeworth's got his head screwed on properly.
Does he?
I wouldn't be so sure.
I'm afraid that the goddess's judgments are somewhat harder to overturn than you might imagine.
So the committee means for the verdict from 18 years ago to stand no matter what. Okay, so it can be used to overturn Mr. Tangaroa's conviction. It's just the committee doesn't fucking want to do it. Fuck you, committee.
Bad luck, Mr. Prosecutor.
There must be something we can do. Something to bring Mr. Gusto down. Why you can't arrest me. Now there is something. And I can point it out right here. I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it because we're going to get through this today anyway. The statute is suspended should the suspect flee to a foreign country. He was in Zhengfa, so however many years that is, it gets taken off. But then it's going to be like just not enough time, and that's when we reveal the statute is suspended from the time of any accomplice's indictment to the end of their trial, and that's when we reveal that Tangaroa was convicted as an accomplice, meaning that the year of his trial gets taken off of it. I could have just waited for the game to spell that out, but I'm pointing it out now because I have no fucking clue what we're supposed to actually present it on. I wanted to look smart.
Hold it!
That's hilarious, right? They had... Here's the thing. Those extra loopholes were never established before this. Before this, it was just, oh yeah, the statute of limitations is 15 years for murder. They inserted those two loopholes solely so that we could convict Gusto. Anyway.
The passage of time doesn't diminish what you did, Mr. Gusto. It sure diminishes one thing, though. Your ability to arrest me. Oh, we can arrest you. We can arrest you real good. I could have you in cuffs before you could even blink, pal.
No, Gumshoe, bad. Don't be that kind of cop.
Right, Mr. Edgeworth.
This issue isn't as open as shut as you're making it out to be, Detective.
You can't touch me. It's too late for that.
I was about to say, like, it is just kind of wild to me that they can just go like, yeah, it's been long enough. We can't convict you anymore. Like, imagine you just fucking kill someone and you admit to killing them, but it's like, it's been long enough. You're free to go. That's just fucking wild.
Hold it!
Depending on your actions over the last 18 years, the statute may not have expired yet.
Thank you, Edgeworth.
This ought to be good. All right, I got nothing to hide. If there's something you want to ask it.
Very well. Tell us where you've been and what you've been doing since the incident.
Sure. Not long after the contest, I was able to cure my taste disorder thanks to the formula from that book. And not so long after that, I went to Zhengfa to really buckle down and hone my craft.
I'm just sort of thinking, because like, Ace Attorney did introduce fictional countries before this. Because I was thinking like, there's Korean in Ace Attorney 6, and then a whole bunch of fictional countries got introduced in investigations, including the aforementioned Zhengfa. But it actually started beforehand because one of the countries I was thinking of was actually introduced in Apollo Justice. So for whatever reason, even though they've established that real countries do very much exist in this world, like France, there's also a bunch of fictional countries. I guess so that they can get away with like whatever random cultural elements they want to insert. Anyway, that explains a lot. We tried to contact you after the fact, but I guess you were long gone by then, huh? Could be. I left, let's see, around a year after the murder. That was before Tangaroa's last day in court. Going to Zangfar was the best thing I ever did. Flavor, design, I'm the full package now. He's got a wolf.
Objection!
And all on the backs of those whose lives you destroyed. What's an omelette without a few eggs, Nothing, Mr. Prosecutor, nothing.
You're evil!
Sticks and stones, girlie. You can't arrest me, and that's all that matters.
I need more to work with. There has to be something I can get out of him. Maybe I can push him further on the statements he made? Is there anything I should follow up on? He's training in Zangfar.
I'd like you to tell us more about your training in Zangfar, if you wouldn't mind.
Fine.
I later went to Zangfar to train and finally became the best in the world.
Do I just present it now? I think I just present it now.
Objection!
I just present it now, let's go!
The statute of limitations for murder is subject to the following condition. The statute is suspended should the suspect flee to a foreign country. Which means that the time you spent abroad doesn't count towards the total time under the statute.
No way! So it's like someone hit pause while he was in Zangfar?
It appears that there may be time left on the clock yet. But that will depend on how long you stayed in Zangfar, Mr. Gusto. It was 3 years exactly. 3 years. Hold on.
Nobody say anything until I've done the math. The murder happened 18 years back. The statute is 15 years. Add the 3 overseas. 15 plus 3 makes exactly 18. Which means, no way. Mr. Edgeworth, you did it. The statute hasn't expired after all.
Not quite. Bingo! 18 years exactly. Glad you worked it out for yourselves.
He's just been stringing us along this whole time. Why is he laughing? We're good, aren't we? We can arrest him now.
I hate to break it to you, little sis, but IS-7 went down at the end of December. It's April now, which means, strictly speaking, it's been 18 years and 4 months since Frost's murder. If Gusto's stay in Zangfar really lasted 3 years on the nose, it's not enough. We're a few months short.
Not enough? But...
What did I tell you? You can't touch me.
I hate to admit it, but he'd read the board as well. He'd read the board well when he made his confession. Chess jokes.
How unfortunate, Mr. Edgeworth. If only the statute had been suspended for another year.
Oh, but it has. Oh, but it was.
Nah. Those who would overturn the goddess's judgment must be willing to pay the price should they fail. And you, Mr. Edgeworth, have failed.
No! There must be something I can do.
I knew it. If the law can't bring Mr. Gusto to justice, then... Judes, what are you thinking?
Objection!
There's no need to go adding to your rap sheet just yet. We're not done here. Far from it. Because there's still a way we can nail him.
There is? Hey, it's Eddie's theme. I don't know if it's the same, if they named it the same in like the official English translation, but I think in the fan translation it was called Joking Motive. Because, you know, he's never fucking serious about anything.
There is?
Alright, Mazarino, pep talk. I need you to think back over everything we know about the case. Gusto's overlooked one critical thing that you yourself were led to believe wrongly about. Which is? He wasn't there for Samson's last trial, remember? Best I can tell, he doesn't seem to know what the final verdict that came down on that day is. Which means there's still one way left to us. Crack open your statutes for dummies there and take another look. I already know the answer. 17 years ago, they really did put a number on Samson and framed him like a pretty picture. But if we make good use of that verdict now, we can make Gusto pay in full for what he's done. Funda, are you... Those who would overturn the goddess's judgment must be willing to pay the price should they fail. Samson's my client, Miles, and I can't bring myself to use the source of his pain as a weapon in this fight. So whether we play our last card hard or not, it's gonna have to be up to you. Bringing Mr. Gusto to justice can only happen if I use the outcome of that hard-fought trial. So, should I raise an objection and play that card or not? Obviously! My father and Mr. Von Karma. One sought to reveal the truth, the other to hide it. I know which path I chose to follow. The one that seeks to reveal the truth. This court has reached its final verdict. The record will state that Mr. Gusto has been found not guilty on all counts.
Objection!
No, Your Honor. Mr. Carmelo Gusto is absolutely guilty, and I refuse to let him walk away. His crimes are too unspeakable to go unpunished. Good music, let's go. Do you mean to suggest that you have grounds upon which to call for his arrest? I do. Now to show Judge Gavelle something that proves the statute of limitations hasn't expired yet. I believe we showed this. Convicted as an accomplice based on his confession.
Take that!
Very well. Is there a particular page of the IS-7 file you would like us to refer to? That would be suspect data, I think. Yes, suspect data. I'd like to direct your attention to the page concerning the suspect. As you can see, Samson Tangaroa was convicted as an accomplice. And it took around 1 year from his indictment for the verdict to be reached. Yes, that does seem to be the case. The book you gave us details certain conditions pertaining to the statute of limitations for murder. One of them, as I mentioned, is that the statute is suspended if the suspect flees the country. And another... states that the statute is suspended from the time of any accomplice's indictment to the end of their trial. What? Tangaroa was convicted as an accomplice? Yep. Guess you were in Zhangfa when the verdict came down. Samson was convicted as an accomplice, not as the main perpetrator. Which is clearly news to you. And not good news either, am I right? But how can that be? Tangaroa was an accomplice to anyone. He was innocent and you know it. Oh, we know it. It's what we've been trying to prove all along. And in a pleasing twist of fate, his wrongful conviction will be the very thing that sets him free. If you spent 3 years in Zhangfa, and your accomplice, Samson Tangaroa, was on trial for 1 year, it means you can still be charged with Mr. Frost's murder up to 19 years after the fact. In other words, the statute of limitations hasn't expired at all. The goddess's judgment is infallible, but that of her servants, it appears, is not. It seems the prosecutor in charge of this case may have erred. Unbelievably, we may have no choice but to instigate a full inquiry. No! How could this? You weren't supposed to be able to... 18 years. It's a long time to let somebody else suffer for your crimes. It's time to pay the piper, Gusto. Not a moment too soon.
Ah! But I'm finally the greatest. My brilliance has been recognized. I gave up everything for this. Everything. Even my son. More's the pity. But you can't run from the law forever, because the bill's come to due at last.
Made a candy version of himself and then cut it in half like a fucking samurai. Okay, I can finally stop doing that thing with Gusto's voice.
Mr. Gusto's all set for his trip downtown, sir.
Oh, good. Which means it's your turn next, right? Gotta direct that frustration somewhere. Man, Ace Attorney breakdowns just steadily got more and more elaborate as the series went on. I suppose so. Judes. I'm so sorry, everybody. I've caused you all so much trouble. But thank you. Thank you so much for bringing Mr. Gusto to justice at last. I'm afraid there's no escaping the consequences of your actions, Miss Bound. But those actions were born of the legal mistakes that were made all those years ago. We all know that. So allow me to apologize in return, on behalf of the prosecution. Oh, no. I have no one to blame but myself for it all. Starting with those sculptures. Hey, Judes. Think maybe you might want me to represent you? I'm not some nervous newbie anymore. And there's no way I'm letting you take the rap for everything. Oh, I'd be honored. Thank you, Mr. Fender. That is certainly one way to represent tears.
Sorry, ma'am, but you gotta come with me now.
Of course. Off they go.
Judge Gavel, why did you lie to us?
Lie? What are you talking about? You implied that there was no case for a retrial, but as we've proven, that wasn't true. Surely anyone truly committed to seeing justice done would have called for one as soon as the body was found. I am under no obligation to answer such questions, and you clearly have no intention of doing so either. Truly, you are proving to be quite a threat to the Committee for Prosecutorial Excellence. As such, you give me little choice but to report back on your continued transgressions. No doubt you will be called to appear before the committee in due course. Now, I must be on my way. What the heck? And after you caught the real killer and everything? Isn't that what prosecutors are supposed to do? Regardless of how it may all play out, I will never regret what we accomplished here today. Mr. Edgeworth! What are you still doing here? Hey, Mr. Edgeworth! Yes? Why did you stick your nose in this case anyway? You weren't even on the job! My job is to bring the truth to light, Mr. Winner. Not only as a prosecutor, but as a person. I don't get it. I wouldn't expect you to understand. Not as long as you believe that closing a case makes you a winner. That's going way over my head. I'm going home. What was all that about? Eustace still has a lot to learn, is all. Malsy Walsy! Yes?
I just wanted to say old Greggy Pegleg would have been proud of you today. Oh, look at me tearing up. That, and thanks for helping poor Sammy Poople.
Of course.
Hey, Edgy. Looks like you cleared everything up, huh? So, what happened exactly? I was kinda busy sketching. Wait, where did Judy and Verity go? Wow, you really weren't paying attention, were you?
Though I am loath to admit it, Larry's sketches did come through for us on more than one occasion. Not that I'm about to tell him that.
Quit it with the glaring, will ya? Whatever I did, I'm sorry.
Calm down, Larry, I wasn't glaring at you. You totally were. You're just like your pop. He was a terrible liar, too. He was. Listen, I'm gonna head out. Need to fill Samson in on what went down today. You wanna come with? Yes, of course.
Great, then I'm coming too.
Kay, why is Kay still involved? Like, until case number 4, I guess Kay's just here so that she can be in case number 4, but until case number 4, Kay has no fucking reason to be here. She's really just here because she was in the first game. Oh, I didn't read out the time, date, whatever.
So what's Mr. Tangaroa like? I can't wait to finally meet him.
Oh, he's a real sweetheart. You'll love him. Even while locked up, he can't help but make all sorts of cookies and cakes for everyone. That's why 3 p.m. cake extravaganza is a thing for prisoners and guards alike.
Really? That sounds awesome. Think there'll be any left for us to try?
Didn't we find a few slices of chocolate cake in the prison the other day? Could they have been some of Mr. Tangaroa's baked goods? There he is.
Gummy, what are you doing here?
Heard you all coming to see Mr. Tangaroa, so I volunteered to escort him. Hello, new friends. I am Samson Tangaroa. Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth at your service.
And I'm Mr. Edgeworth's trusty sidekick, Kay Faraday.
So trusty, in fact, that she never shows up outside of the investigation series.
It's very nice to meet you both. Miles here is Gregory's son. Is that so? Your father was very kind to me, and fought so hard for my case. But in the end, I betrayed him. I made a false confession and... Don't worry, Mr. Tangaroa. Mr. Fender has explained everything to me.
Sure did. Now we're here to tell you the truth about what happened 18 years ago.
The truth?
Fade to black.
Judy did all that? For me?
Crazy kid racked her brain for 18 years until she'd finally figured out how to set you free. What can I say? Turns out she really would do anything for you.
Oh, Judy. I never did anything to deserve such devotion.
Come now, Mr. Tangaroa.
I think we all know that's not true. The bond between the two of you has held strong for all these years, after all.
You think so? I guess I'd better show him. Which piece of evidence is proof of the bond between... Oh no, I didn't... Oh no, I can't save. I think it's the chocolates, but it might be this. Oh no.
Take that!
It's the chocolate, thank God.
Those chocolates. Judy made them, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
They're super delicious and sweet.
Miss Bound continued making them just as you taught her, even after that fateful day. So there would always be some waiting for you when you finally came home.
Judy. I bet they're beyond super sweet then, aren't they?
Very much so, I'm afraid. Only wish we could hand them to you.
Don't worry, sir. I'll make sure he gets them later.
Which would be a clear breach of prison policy. Not that I have the authority now to stop him anyway. Gumshoe breaks the rules all the time, but he still somehow kept his job. He doesn't appear in later games, but he's referenced in the most recent game in the timeline. So he is still clearly working as part of the police in some capacity. I saw someone suggest that, like, maybe the reason we don't see him anymore is because he's not a detective anymore and he's been, like, promoted to chief of police or something. Which would be kind of nice, since, like, Edgeworth becomes chief prosecutor and all that. But I guess we'll just have to wait until Ace Attorney 7. It's definitely on the horizon. It's coming real soon. They're definitely going to announce it very, very soon. They've run out of games to remake it. It's got to be coming. Or remaster, I suppose.
Thank you very much. You know, Detective, something about you reminds me of Detective Bad.
How's the copium smell? Look, I got a remake of my favorite game whose developer went bankrupt years ago this year. I wouldn't put it past Capcom to do something like this. More unlikely things have happened. One of my favorite games got a remake. My favorite game is getting an anime adaptation. Every Nintendo Direct I've reacted to has had something I've been excited about related to mystery games. It's coming eventually. It's gotta be coming. My winning streak will not end so soon. Insert copium emoji. Anyway.
Really, pal? Because I look up to him a whole lot. He's my role model, which is why I have never mentioned him outside of the investigations games. You don't say. Seems like fate likes to bring people of all sorts together, huh? You hang in there, Samson. Just a little longer. I should be able to get you out soon.
You know, as much as the Ace Attorney series loves, like, being self-referential, they've never brought back any character from the investigations games in the main series. Though that might be because they just sort of stopped bringing back characters when they got to the 3DS era. Because they couldn't just reuse the same old sprites again.
Should be able to get you out soon. I'm sorry it's taken so long. Nobody should have to wait 18 years to get justice. Don't be silly, Eddie. I'm the one who should be saying sorry. Or rather, thank you. Truly.
Samson.
Well, I guess it's my turn to wait for Judy to come home now. I'd better make sure there's something delicious on the table for her when she finally walks through that door. Don't let me down, Eddie.
Leave it to me, big guy. Aww. The IS-7 incident. It's been 18 long years, but this case we'd inherited from my father is finally coming to a close. Yay! The case that started it all.
Hey, Miles. Thanks for today. And sorry for forcing you to make the final call like that.
Not at all. I simply made the call that felt right to me. Huh? What are you guys talking about? You know how Samson was wrongfully convicted? We had to pretend he wasn't in order to nail Gusto. But to use his false conviction against him, even to save him, as his lawyer, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Yeah, I can see that. But now that Gusto's behind bars, I can finally start to get that wrongful conviction overturned.
Yes, and I'm sure you will.
Wait a minute, does this mean that even if you were only doing what's right, the false conviction had been if the false conviction had been overturned before today, Mr. Gusto would have gotten away scot-free?
Yep. It's what we folks in the trade like to call a legal contradiction. The law is far from perfect.
Because of things like legal contradictions, right?
Yeah, but you never know. Things might change. The law is always evolving.
just like us humans. Your Uncle Eddie and Miles Areno included, am I right? The potential for growth and change. In people and the law, huh? I've noticed this before, but I'm noticing it again now. Miles is so much fucking larger than Eddie is. Eddie's just very thin compared to Miles. Also, why am I calling him Miles instead of Edgeworth? No one besides Eddie calls him Miles. So, Miles, you gonna keep fighting crime as a prosecutor, or help people as an attorney? Something tells me you got a big decision ahead of you. One only you can answer. I know. Well, let's just say I won't complain if you show up at the office one day. And on that note, it's time for me to skedaddle. I owe you big time, and I always repay my debts, but for now. Thanks again for today. I mean it. Bye-bye.
Did he seem kind of in a hurry to get out of here to you?
He did. And honestly speaking, I'm the one who owes him a debt of gratitude. After all, he gave me the chance to reckon with my father's final case. When I was a boy, all I ever dreamed of was becoming an attorney like my father. But then, during my time with Mr. Von Karma, I learned the ways of the prosecutor instead. Eventually, with the help of some good friends, I found my own voice and a new way to live. But now my career as a prosecutor is at risk of being taken away from me. It may be time to take another long look. Another long, hard look at how I want to live my life. Whether I like it or not.
April 2nd, Edgeworth and Cole Law Offices.
Hey, Gregory. Sorry for reporting in so late. May have taken 18 years, but we're finally in a position to prove Samson's innocence. All thanks to your boy Miles. Couldn't have done it without him. You should have seen him. The way he fought for the truth gave me chills. It's like I was watching you. Look, I know I'm not half the attorney you were. But those guiding principles you try to instill in me, I like to think I'm embodying them now as I carry on your legacy. Here's hoping. Your boy will be joining me in that soon. Aww. Am I going to fight crime as a prosecutor, or help people as an attorney? What is the right answer? Which path should I choose?
The end. We did it.
Hold on. I'll save over this one, I guess.
We could start the next case, but I think here might be a good time to end. A nice stopping point, you know. I am ending stream a bit early if I do that, but also, I need to get back. I need to get used to streaming again. Let me settle in. Also, I have a fucking... Oh, actually, I'll close the game first. Oh wait, did I save twice just to make sure it actually saved? I think we are going to end stream here. It is a bit early compared to when I would normally end stream. As you can see, it is not quite lunchtime yet. However, I do sort of have things to do. Because I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow, but I will be streaming on Thursday. It's a good stopping point, so understandable, yeah. So I will be streaming on Thursday. We won't be playing more Ace Attorney, because Thursday is my 3-year anniversary of streaming, and I'm going to do a karaoke stream, for which I have not yet finished the set list. I need to do that, and I need to practice the songs. 3 years, yeah. It's been a while. Pretty sure it's 3 years. Yeah, first year I wasn't able to do anything for my anniversary because I got COVID. Second year I did a cover song. And third year this is third year. Time flies, huh? Yeah. It's been a while. But yeah, I'm planning to do a karaoke stream because I couldn't get a cover done in time. So I need to finish the set list and practice the songs and all that. So I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow. I'm going to be working on that then. Hopefully everything goes all right. And then we can also spend a bit of time during that stream just sort of discussing what my plans are coming up. Because, like, as I mentioned, I am working on a 2.0 model that will happen eventually. But for now, we're gonna leave things here. And then probably on the weekend, I'll get back to Ace Attorney. Just take like Friday off and then go back to on Saturday. But Miko's streaming Ace Attorney on Saturday. I don't want to watch. I couldn't watch the first stream because I was still visiting my parents. Actually, no. I wasn't still visiting my parents at that point. I was on the way home. And I didn't want to spend that much fucking data on the train to watch Miko stream. Anyway, I'll figure it out. Twitch. Who's live right now? No one. Fucking no one. Literally no one. Do I even have any viewers? It's just right. Okay. We're probably just going to end stream because there's fucking no one online. Oh, yeah. It is... I mean, I guess it's the 30th for most people right now, but for me it's New Year's Eve. It's the 31st, so that's probably why most people aren't streaming. People are off doing other things. Thank you for the stream. Wishing you a very happy New Year in advance. Many more fun years of streams than last coming up. Thank you, Rai. Thank you, Rai. To you as well. I'm bad at talking to people. Is that obvious? Anyway. Also, yeah, as I announced, I guess for people... I don't need to say this again. Rai's the only one here, and anyone who was watching the VOD would have already seen it earlier enough. But yeah, quiz show happening sometime next month. It's finally happening. I need to get better at talking to people because it took me like fucking 2 months to find the contestants for it. Anyway, yeah, that's all I had to say. Quiz show, let's go! I'm probably gonna have to get up early for that because Europeans are involved this time. But hopefully my sleep schedule will be fixed by that point. Totally not into or anything. Yeah, I totally didn't ask you about it during my last stream. Anyway, that's all from me. Y'all have a happy new year, etc. Because this is my last stream before the new year. It is so hard to do outros when I'm not raiding and I don't have a timer to just say, hey, you need to sign off before this point. Okay, thanks for watching. Otsukame, bye bye, NC.